Lincoln wheat cent features a simple yet powerful design that would remain unchanged for 50 years. The solemn profile of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, while the Philadelphia version is the most common. The 1926 wheat penny is exceptionally hard to find in high grades, making it one of the key semi-keys of the entire Lincoln series. Not all 1926 pennies are worth more than a cent, but a perfectly preserved, high-grade example from the San Francisco Mint, especially with original red luster, is so rare that it can fetch hundreds of thousands to over $1 million at auction. The 1926 penny was minted in fewer numbers, and most entered circulation immediately. Harsh use and poor storage meant that almost none were saved in pristine condition. Fewer than 10 examples exist in MS65 red gem mint state. Only a handful are known in MS66 red, the highest grade ever assigned. Collectors pay astronomical prices for these coins, often battling in elite auctions for a chance to own one. Lincoln cents are copper, and copper oxidizes over time. Most common, oxidized copper color some original coins to complete in red mint state. Its historical placement between World War I and the Great Depression adds to its mystique, while the 1926 wheat penny is valuable in pristine condition. Even more excitement surrounds rares such as double die obverse, though extremely rare for this date. Die cracks and cuds, repunched mint marks RPM. Each of these can enhance the value, especially when authenticated by PCGS or NGC. Over the decades, the most pristine 1926 cents have made headlines. Private collectors have reportedly offered $750,000 or more for MS66 candidates. Experts believe if a perfect MS67 or D example were found and certified, it could break $1 million. Even more common grades like BF Very Fine or XF Extra Fine command $30 to $100, and circulated examples can range from $500 to $10,000, depending on the color and grade. With values this high, authentication is critical. Top-tier coins should be graded and encapsulated by PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC Numismatic Guarantee Company, verified for mint origin, strike quality, and color, protected from damage to preserve market value. Buyers and sellers alike depend on these certifications to ensure trust and precision in pricing. Where they're still found, believe it or not, 1926 wheat penny coins are now considered rare collector's treasures, with a few high-grade examples selling for thousands of US dollars. But what makes a 1927 wheat penny so valuable? How can a coin worth 1 cent become a highly sought-after piece of American numismatic history? The 1927 Liberty wheat penny, its origin, rarity, errors, and why it remains one of the most fascinating pieces for collectors today. The year was 1927. America was booming. Industry was thriving. The stock market soared. Ford was churning out Model Ts, and jazz filled the streets. It was the calm before the storm, the final chapter of prosperity before the Great Depression. Amid this cultural explosion, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, producing coins for everyday use. Among them, the Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had become the face of American cents since 1909. And in 1927, the Mint produced a wheat penny that would, one day, command great attention, especially in top condition or with rare errors. The Liberty wheat penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, remained unchanged for decades, its elegance rooted in simplicity. These coins were made from a warm copper alloy, beautiful when new, but prone to darkening. Collectible, condition, mint mark, and errors. Most 1927 pennies were used in circulation for years, worn down by decades of handling. That's why finding a mint state MS coin, especially in red road color, is incredibly rare. Now, very few examples have reached these high grades, making them highly desirable. The 1927S is the scarcest of the three mint varieties. Poor strike quality and low survival in mint state mean collectors searching for a complete set of early San Francisco minted Lincolns often drive prices even higher for top grade 1927. As examples, even circulated coins can have value if they include one of these rare errors. Double die obverse DDO, doubling in inscriptions like Liberty or the date dollar, clipped BLINCHET. When certified, these errors elevate an otherwise common coin into a collector's dream, labeled with red color designation, indicating the original luster free from cleaning, damage, or corrosion. A raw and graded 1927 penny might sell for just cents, but a graded penny, the 1927 Liberty wheat Penny is a window into an era, a time when prosperity hummed beneath the surface of future hardship. It was struck in a year of silent transformation, minted by the millions, yet preserved in beauty by only a precious few. It reminds us that history doesn't always wear gold and silver. Sometimes it wears copper, and sometimes the smallest coin carries the greatest story. Whether it's the rare 1927s in blazing red, a mint error with a striking anomaly, or a perfectly preserved Philadelphia issue, this penny is a tribute to Lincoln, to American resilience, and to the endless. 1946 marked the dawn of a new American era. The war had ended just a year earlier. The nation was flooded with optimism. Troops were coming home to parades, families, and promises of peace. But rationing was still fresh, and resources were tight. In this environment, the U.S. Mint resumed full coin production, including the iconic Lincoln wheat penny, which had been in circulation since 1909. The 1946 penny was the first in years to return to traditional copper, as the wartime steel cents of 1943 and zinc-plated issues of 1944 and 1945 had come to an end. The result was a coin that represented a return to normalcy and, for collectors, the beginning of something more. The Liberty wheat penny design is simple yet iconic, and it remained unchanged from 1909 to 1958, though none are rare. By mintage alone, value comes from something far more elusive: preservation, strike quality, and errors. This composition returned in 1946 after wartime changes. Unlike the steel pennies of 1943, the 1/9 for 6 cent was once again warm and reddish-brown, a return to normal in both feel and form. Most 1946 wheat pennies are worth 1 to 5 cents in circulated condition, but a small number are worth hundreds. Even minting errors can transform a common coin into a numismatic marvel. For 1946, some of the most valuable errors include doubled die obverse DDO. Prices range from $100 to $2,000, depending on severity and condition. If the design is shifted significantly, it can be worth $150 to $500 plus a chunk missing from the rim can boost value to $200, $800, especially seen on 1/9 for 60 or 1946. Pennies 1946 wheat penny graded MS67. Brown may sell for $300. The same coin in MS67. Red could command over $5,000. The color matters, and it matters a lot. 1946 SMS67 Road. Lincoln wheat penny sold for $7,800 in a heritage auction. 1/9 for 60 MS67 Road, with perfect luster and strike, fetched $3,120. A rare 1946 DDO penny in mint state exceeded $1,900. An off-metal 1946 cent struck on a dime planchette brought over $10,000. Each of these coins tells a story of preservation, error, or sheer luck. Believe it or not, valuable 1/9 for 6 pennies still surface today in old family collections, estate sale coin jars, original mint rolls, attics and cigar boxes, inherited albums tucked away for decades. Most are worn, but even AVF or XF, example with an error or unique trait, can be worth real money, though it's not one of the key dates in the series. The 1946 Liberty wheat penny represents more than face value. It marks the return to post-war normalcy, continuation of the beloved wheat cent tradition, a turning point between wartime scarcity and booming production. For collectors, it is far more than a small copper coin. It is a symbol of post-war America, resilient, industrious, and rich with history. Minted 5 years after the end of World War II, this penny carries the legacy of the United States economic recovery and the dawn of a new era. To understand its importance, we must first look back to the wheat penny series, which began in 1909 under the direction of President Theodore Roosevelt. He commissioned sculptor Victor David Brenner to redesign the penny. Brenner's design honored Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and to wheat stalks on the reverse, representing prosperity. By 1950, the wheat penny had been circulating for over 40 years. The United States was undergoing immense transformation. The post-war baby boom was in full swing, and the economy was thriving. Millions of pennies were produced to meet the needs of a growing population. There were 3 mints producing the 1950 wheat penny. Although these numbers seem high, it's the quality and condition of the coin, and the presence of any error that greatly influence its verse. We see a bust of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. The words "In God We Trust" arc above his head. 50 lies on the right. If minted in Denver or San Francisco, a small D or S will appear just below the date. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum at the top. Now let's talk about errors and varieties, which can greatly increase a coin's worth. One of the most sought-after error types is the double die obverse. DDO, though rare for 1950, some coins exhibit noticeable doubling in the inscriptions, especially around Liberty and the date. These are extremely valuable. Pristine 1950 wheat penny in mint state, MS65 or higher, especially with a red road designation, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the mint and any errors. For example, a 1950s penny graded MS67 road sold for over $7,000 at auction. The historical backdrop also adds to its charm. In 1950, the Korean War had just begun. The Cold War tensions were rising. Americans were investing in infrastructure, education, and industry. It was a year of contrast of both hope and fear. The penny in your pocket reflected not just economic exchange, but cultural transition. Collectors today often seek out the 1950 Liberty wheat penny not only for its potential value but for its nostalgic connection to mid-century America. It represents a time when pennies could still buy a piece of candy or a gumball. It was the currency of soda fountains, drive-ins, and jukeboxes. Over the decades, many of these pennies have disappeared from circulation, either worn out or hoarded by collectors. This has made high-grade specimens much more desirable. 9th penny reflects a time when American confidence and patriotism were high. The 1948 wheat penny features the iconic Abraham Lincoln profile on the obverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This marked the centennial of Lincoln's birth and was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The 1948 Lincoln wheat penny was produced at 3 different mints. This was standard composition for Lincoln, -1 prior to the 1982 switch to a copper-plated zinc format. Several error coins and varieties from 1948 can be worth significantly more than face value. Some 1948 pennies exhibit doubling on the date. Liberty, or In God We Trust, pennies struck off-center, especially if the date is still visible, are highly collectible. These feature a die break between the B and E in Liberty, forming what appears to be the letter A. These errors occurred due to worn or misaligned dies and are sought after by collectors. The value of a 1948 wheat penny depends largely on mint mark, condition, and whether it contains errors. Grade 1948, P 1948. The 1948 penny is often included in Lincoln wheat cent collections. While not the rarest of the series, it is valued for its age, design, and historical backdrop. Collector's prize, high-grade uncirculated coins and those with unique mint errors. This coin marks the end of the first half of the 20th century for Lincoln cents. It sits in the middle of a timeline stretching from the early 1900s to the eventual change in reverse design in 1959, when the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat ears. Victor D. Brenner's design of the Lincoln cent revolutionized coinage in the U.S., giving rise to modern commemorative coins. The wheat penny era 1909 to 1958 holds a special place in American hearts for its simplicity and symbolism. The 1948 Liberty wheat penny may not make headlines like a 1909's BDB or a 1943 copper cent, but it stands proudly as a symbol of American resilience and post-war optimism. Whether tucked into a coin folder by a new collector or preserved in the enduring power of American coinage, what makes this penny so valuable? And why are collectors racing to find high-grade examples and mint errors from this very year? Let's uncover the rich and surprising legacy of the 1935 Lincoln wheat cent. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909, the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It marked a dramatic departure from previous U.S. coinage. For the first time, a real historical figure appeared on an American coin, designed by Victor David Brenner. The penny featured Lincoln's profile on the obverse, and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and national strength. For over 50 years, this design would define America's 1-cent piece. The 1935 edition was struck during a time of slow recovery from the Great Depression, adding layers of economic and emotional significance to its legacy. Each era type adds rarity and uniqueness, and collectors aggressively hunt for them, especially in uncirculated condition. In 1935, The United States was still climbing out of the Great Depression. People weren't saving coins for collections. They were spending every cent to survive. The few mint-state 1935 pennies that exist today likely came from sealed bank rolls or mint bags, untouched for decades. Most of those are already in collector hands or graded slabs, making fresh discoveries increasingly rare. That's why a 1935 penny in MS-67 road condition with full red luster and no wear is not just rare, it's extraordinary. Here are just a few highlights from major coin sales. A 1935 MS-67 road Lincoln cent sold for $4,200 at Heritage Auctions. A 1935 MS-67 road went for $3,800 due to near-perfect surfaces and blazing red color. 1935p with a double dial burst fetched over $2,500 in an Aracoin auction. The numbers tell the story. These coins are no longer just 1-cent pieces. They're historical assets. Rare 1935 wheat pennies can still be found if you know where to search. Old coin albums or jars, especially family collections, estate sales, and antique shops often overlooked by non-collectors. Coin roll hunts, unsearched wheat penny rolls from dealers or auctions, bank vault collections, retired rolls from long-forgotten storage. The key is condition. Even if you find a 1935 penny, its true value depends on how well it's been preserved. The 1935 Liberty wheat penny is more than just copper and zinc. It's a piece of American struggle, hope, and recovery. A coin born in the aftermath of hardship. A tiny disc of